with their AdWords and AdSense. In other words, offer advertisers the opportunity to buy ads within Facebook applications, or the Facebook applications that choose to publish their ads on their Canvas page. Do you see that coming down in the future?
Absolutely. If you look at Facebook and how it's structured, you look at applications are set into different categories. And my app can only reside in 2 categories. So already they've verticalized me into 2 different silos. So Facebook, what's great about Facebook is they don't know, they don't just say, they don't actually share this information, but here's what they really know. And they're going to bring this to the surface. And that is, they know more than how many people installed it. They know who installed it, what sex that person is, what network they belong to, where they're at. They know more about my demographics than Google knows about me. And you know what? That's great, because you can bring me more relevant news information, content, and advertising that's more relevant to me, so why not? So if you look at Google AdWords, their advertising platform, is the goose that laid the golden egg for Google. That's what built that company. At one point it was 98% of their revenue. So Facebook can actually target better than Google based upon behaviors. So behavioral targeting, which is the holy grail of marketing. So I believe they're going to come up with something, and we just haven't seen it. These guys are really intelligent. They're really smart. We're 90 days in, we're babies. So if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense, because if they can, as an app developer, a lot of app developers, a lot of companies don't have time to monetize. They're too focused on building their application and making it work properly and execution and tweaking it. They don't have time to be biz dev people and go strike deals. Some small businesses might, but for a lot of developers, it's just easier to say, hey, you guys have ad inventory? I'll serve it here, and I don't care if you take a cut, fine, take 30%. I get 70 and I don't have to think. I put in a piece of code and I go, that's gonna come.
So that's almost a monetization strategy. You just said that some companies are not monetizing their apps, and I think Slide is one of the companies that is looking at monetization as a secondary strategy that they're working after. Their primary strategy, if I recall, was to improve the user experience first and foremost. And once they have high engagement numbers and they have high user base, then they can have all the monetization they want. So again, that's another monetization strategy, is to build a killer app that has great great engagement, great touch points with their friends and their users, and it's truly, genuinely a useful app for the user, and build up users based on that, and then later you can monetize it in a much higher CPM model than some of these like vampires and those type of things can.
Exactly. Don't put the cart before the horse. Focus on the user. If you build it right, they don't mind. Actually, Facebook people aren't. Facebook, the ecosystem, the community doesn't appear adverse to advertising being served to them. No one's recoiling back. Everyone's okay with it.
Right.
We're all used to advertising being served to us, and it's not being done in an obnoxious way, in-your-face way. Users will tolerate it,
right?
Sure, and they'll use it, and it makes good sense for advertisers, makes good sense for the app owner, makes good sense for the application user.
Right. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about valuation models. Altura Ventures talked a little bit about what he saw the future of a user who uses a Facebook app worth in the future. So talk a little bit about that. Where are you seeing the valuation numbers currently, and what are your thoughts on where that's going to go in the future?
Okay, well, pardon me for putting these glasses on. The sun's so bright today. Where is that going in the future? What's the value of a user? It's a question that is different for every business. What's the lifetime value of a client that you have? So you have to ask yourself, what is that customer worth? In different vertical marketplaces, that client could be worth $500 annually. He could be worth $100. He could be worth $5,000. If it's in the mortgage industry, what's the lifetime value of that client? It's pretty significant. So if you look at different vertical marketplaces, the value of an app user can be anywhere from $100 to $500 to maybe over $1,000 annually. There's a lot of speculation. There's no real proven model that we can hold up and say this is exactly what it is. But I wouldn't expect to see that already. We're too young. People have to step back and remember, take some historical perspective that we're 90 days into this.
Right.
90 days is a blink of an eye. And how it operates and what it does in 3 more months, 6 months, and a year, it's going to be totally different, and I think for the better. So what's the value of a Facebook app? Its value is whatever advertisers will pay to serve ads to your demographic, number one. And as an exit strategy, it's worth whatever someone will buy it for. Free market dictates. You know, there's been applications that have sold for close to $3 million already on Facebook. One single app, $3 million. Made sense to the buyer to grab that demographic in the travel industry. So there's absolutely going to be acquisition of freestanding Facebook applications from the platform.
Right, and we're already seeing that with venture capital firms like Altura Ventures and Bay Partners, who've created these funds specifically to fund and acquire Facebook applications. Speaking of acquisitions, that's another interesting way that people can get into the Facebook app game is through acquisition. You know, the conventional wisdom is that in order to get a Facebook app, you need to hire a team of developers and you need to build this application. But what most people don't realize is that there's a whole secondary market out there of companies that are listing apps that are for sale. And I think that's a viable way that we're going to start to see companies get involved in the game of Facebook applications, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a secondary market where a guy in his spare time over the course of a month builds an app. He's got great user engagement. He doesn't really want to do it. It was a side project. He doesn't not putting a lot of focus and energy in it. And that app has value maybe to someone else and he wants to part with it, he can do it. Like I said before, it's about creating real estate and engagement. So there's value in that. And so there's a secondary market that's already rearing its head. You can find apps for sale. I would caution people about buying apps. What's the value? You know, what we're seeing apps sell for right now that are small baby apps, 3, 4, 5, 10,000, 20,000 average daily users. You're seeing those apps sell for, actually installs was the metric until just about a week ago. You were seeing the average value being about $1 a user. That's what app owners were asking, and some of them were getting that number.
Right, interesting. All right, well, I want to ask you one last question here. What kind of advice could you give to people or companies who are want to get into developing a Facebook app and want to build a viable app, whether it's to brand their company or just as a mechanism to earn money? What is just one piece of advice you could give to a new person just getting involved in Facebook apps?
To someone that's just getting involved, my one piece of advice would be, don't reinvent the wheel. Go to the experts. Go to the people that know. Go to the people that can help your business immediately jump into the platform, come up with a strategy, come up with the build, come up with the execution, come up with everything that you need to do, soup to nuts, A to Z. You can outsource all of that. Or you can learn it yourself and stumble and fall and learn on your own. You can absolutely do that. So you have two options. My advice is go to the people that know how to do it. Go to a group of people that are knowledgeable. Find a company, an individual, an organization, a mastermind group, a pod class, whatever it is. Go there to the people that have experience, that have lived it and breathed it and have done it. Those are the people that are going to help you. So I would say learn from people that already know.
That's great advice. I just read the Wall Street Journal article recently where you were featured in it, and it talked about how companies are just flocking to Facebook so that they can create their Facebook applications, whether it's for branding or for income purposes. So that's great advice. I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with me on this, and it was a pleasure doing this interview.
Gary, it's a pleasure as well, and everyone that's watching this video, thanks for watching. Take care.